Hi, this is Farrell, and this is Robot Todd, issue 3, page 9. I think it's page 9. And yeah, this is a redrawn thumbnail. This is the first thumbnails I did, but the pencil one that I just showed was the second attempt at some thumbnails. This was my first session penciling here, and you can see the fourth panel I've already changed. I redrew that fourth panel several times and finally settled on this drawing here, or something close to that. I think I was right before I started inking it. I was redrawing it. The same thing with the fox too. I sort of had all these little ghost images of the other foxes I drew. At first, I just drew kind of like my loose. Oh, this is a general fox shape, and yeah, I wasn't really happy with that. I mean, I was at first. The first session I did, I was like, oh, that looks fine. And I came back to it later and was like, oh, I should probably use reference for that. And I think like the next couple pencil sessions were just me redrawing that fox and Todd in the fourth panel, which had, several attempts at. The fox in the fourth panel, it was just me sketching something and being like, okay, I like the way that looks just fine, and I let it go. I didn't actually reference that one. But the fox in the first panel, I was looking at a picture for that a little bit just because my rough pencils I wasn't crazy about it. And then in the third panel I definitely did reference that fox. And the interesting thing about the third panel, to me anyway, and this wasn't one of the time-consuming parts. The time-consuming parts was definitely the Todd in the fourth panel and the fox in the third panel. But the actual Todd in the two Todds in the third panel was fun. I had drawn him, I think, standing there holding the umbrella. And then I think there was like a little bit of a pencil ghost of him bending down or something. And then I thought, oh, that would be neat to do, like, just to kind of show the motion of him picking up the umbrella and, popping it out, the little umbrella skeleton out. I thought it would be fun to just have sort of this first he bends down and picks it up, and then he opens it up in the same panel, so you can see the two actions in one panel. And I thought, okay, I won't color him in the first one, because the way you read it, like the way you read like a manga or something, obviously is like right to left, but in all the comics that I grew up reading and drawing and stuff, it's, the Western style of reading of left to right. You read these panels, like the first two, left to right, and then the next two left to right. I was kind of concerned about it's like he's opening the umbrella and then he's squatting down. So I wanted it to be obvious, since the squatting part was on the right, I wanted it to be obvious that happened first. So I decided to just like leave that uncolored. And I was even thinking about not inking it, but I just felt like it needed to be inked. And then I tried even putting like some white paint over the ink lines, but it didn't really show up that well. It just kind of, it didn't, I was hoping the lines would fade a little more, but it didn't. And I was like, it's fine. It looks fine. Like, asked my partner to look at it, and she was like, oh no, it's totally readable. Is what's going on with the action that you intended. I wanted to there's like in the page you can see Todd just kind of got better. He was messed up, and then the fox came, and he was doing a little better. So they started to go. They're walking to go get SEPT now, and I have this other comic that is coming out called SEPT and EMBER, which is like ties into this comic and this scene specifically. So Todd's going to rescue SEPT from these like crystal things that zapped him, which you can read in the SEPT and EMBER. There's more on that at the end of the video. But I thought it was like, oh, he's going to be, I did some little thumbnails for it, for the SEPT and EMBER comic, and I was like, oh, he's going to be coming up with holding an umbrella. And I was thinking like, oh, in this part of the story in the SEPT comic, in the Robot Todd comic, I wanted the him to find the umbrella, so you can see him walking up. And so we're kind of getting in this little zone where these like little crystal formations, these crystal rock formations are, that SEPT is held captive by. And so I wanted this page to be all about like finding this old skeleton of an umbrella. And I thought in like the last panel, Todd would kind of use his little magic robot powers to sort of fill out the umbrella, like, oh, I found this old skeleton, and then I'm going to fill out the rest of it with my whatever nanotechnology or what have you. And then, he's going to use this umbrella to sort of like, use as like a shield against these like little floating drone things that trapped his buddy Sept. So that was the idea, I guess, of this page. And I wasn't sure. The second panel, I was thinking like adding some text or something. But the more I kept thinking about it, the more I thought it would be nice just to have some pages that are silent, like we had in the first issue of him just kind of walking around. And like I like the idea of like Todd thinking and talking every once in a while, but I don't want him to be doing it every page just to fill in space, Like I like the reader to get their money's worth, or the comic, to just be able to like, not fly through it in like 5 seconds, to like slow down and look at stuff and read stuff. But it also just doesn't feel like in the nature of the character for him to be like always thinking or always chatting. Like I wanted there to be like silent moments with this comic. So we had a page earlier, like a couple pages ago, of like a lot of text on there, a lot of text for me anyway. Maybe not compared to like some writers. Some comic book authors seem to like to fill every panel with like multiple word balloons. And I just read a new well, I don't want to talk crud about any other thing because it's like something that I like. I just read a comic that I liked a lot, so let's just say that I enjoyed it very much. And it's by I don't want to say what it is because I'm going to slightly criticize it, but it's by someone who does art and writing, both, like me, and someone that I like. And it was I just was kind of astounded at how much text there was on it. And to me it sort of felt like unnecessary. Like the text was basically saying the same thing over and over again. And maybe that was their intention. Maybe they were doing that just to create mood or whatever. But I just felt like, man, I could use like half the amount of text, and this book would be so much better just to let the person's art really show. And you get with comics, you don't need that stuff. It's like, you're watching a movie or something. You don't always need there to be like narration or something over it for it to be, for you to get the idea of what's going on or get the feeling. Sometimes it almost kind of hurts the mood or the vibe or whatever when there's too much of that. Anyway, but that's my opinion. I'm sure that person's much more successful than I am, so I'm sure they're they're doing all right and don't need to take any criticism from me. I was thinking with my own book that, whenever I get that impulse of like, oh, I need to put dialogue here, I need to put text here, I'd have to think it, and it's like, well, it's not just that I can't really think of what do I want to put there. I feel like it just doesn't need anything, so like why try to force it, but I think it's good to think about, it's just good to consider as part of the writing process, I guess. But that's the finished page there. You can see them all on my Patreon too if you want. But this is the new thing I have out that I mentioned, SEPT and EMBER. And I did it in October mostly. I did like a panel a day. And then so I put them all together in a book. And I'm doing a raising money for it. If you want to order the book, basically, it's not like a Kickstarter where if I don't make the goal, and I've already made the goal anyway too. Not trying to brag, I'm just saying this is basically just the way you order a book is if you go to that Fund Us September, and I'll put the link in my description. And this is the limited edition print. If you're on my Patreon and you get the book, and basically everyone who's on my Patreon and gets the book through this Fund Us September will get that print. And that's the video for this time. Thanks for watching. Fund us September and my Patreon, Feral Dal. Bye.